first, if you have not seen the Navigating Relationships with Borderline Personality Part 1, go watch it. This is Part 2. Also, on top of that, a trigger warning. Some of the things that I'm going to say today may come across as harsh to some. If you struggle with borderline, there is hope. Contact me. Let's work out a way to help. What you're about to hear is really meant for those that are working to love you and to love you well, but maybe not sure quite how. Some of what you're going to hear might come across as harsh, but if you choose to stick with me, please stay till the end. So, last week, we were talking about the seasons of borderline. I love you and I hate you. We don't like the I hate you, of course. We absolutely adore the I love you season. But this today is the warning label for the I love you season. Why is there a warning label? Because that I love you, that deep intimacy and connection can be seductive. Now, I don't necessarily mean romantically seductive, although it certainly could be. But really what I'm talking about is a magnetic pull, this sort of draw that can sometimes get away from us. And when it does that, it produces some risks. It kind of creates this environment for the major performance trap for borderline personality, which is working to earn love. If borderline is about feeling abandoned, then it's also about trying to regain what was lost. That means a lot of doing, right? I'm going to do a lot of things so I can get the love that left me. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why that's destructive, and we're about to get into that. But for now, sort of a bigger picture here, we need to cover a few things. First of all, if you let the working to earn love trap persist, sort of infect the relationship, you're going to be creating space for entitlement, because if I've earned something, I'm entitled to it. Resentment, because if I am entitled to something and you didn't give it to me, now I resent you. And maybe the most obvious is an imbalance. One of us is the giver of love and the other is the receiver of love. One of us is the earner of love. The other is the one that pays love out. This is not going to make for a sustainable friendship model, okay? You're going to want your relationship to be more balanced, not so much based on reciprocity like transaction, but more based on equal footing. So the way to stay ahead of this trap is, first of all, kind of hard to explain, ambiguous a bit, but there are some basic messages we can make sure that our words and our actions are communicating. Number one, no one is earning or owing love. Not you, not them, nobody. I don't owe you any love, and you haven't earned any love from me, and vice versa. Now, along with that is message number two, which is that love is freely given. It's not something that you did anything to make happen, right? I'm choosing to love as a free choice, as are you. All the love that exists in this relationship is freely given. And finally, sort of summing it all up, number three, love is a response to being, not doing. Love is a response to being, not doing. So how do we achieve this? Well, this is not a comprehensive list at all, but I have a few examples. So one major way to do it is to refuse to return compliments, which I know that sounds mean or cold-hearted, but hear me out. If instead of returning that compliment, you just say thank you, maybe you offer your compliment at another time, you have shown this person that you care about that positive attention is not part of cause and effect. If you give me positive attention, that doesn't win you anything. Remember, love is freely given, right? Leading them here towards connecting being to love as opposed to doing to love, right? We're trying to steer away from that trap. And this is also why we offer our compliments at another time when there's no cause and effect window. There's no way for them to explain it away. Oh, well, you only gave me that compliment because I gave you a compliment. So really, it's not genuine. Which, yes, this is a contradiction. What we're doing here is the borderline personality, the very strong temptation is to work to earn love, but then when it, let's say it's successful, right, I've earned love now, well, you're only giving me that love because I earned it, so it's not genuine. But wait, I thought that you were, see? So we don't want to reinforce this. When you give a gift, this is the next one, when you give a gift, time, money, attention, resources of any kind, refuse to allow any payback. Because again, we're trying to create this sort of anti-reciprocity dynamic, right? Where nothing that I give you has any strings attached, and I'm not even going to receive anything that you offer me to try and add strings later, right? And this is going to be odd maybe to your borderline friend or family member. They're going to expect that you were expecting something. So when you refuse to accept maybe something that was already expected, that's going to throw them a bit. Oh, okay, I see. I see. This isn't a back and forth. This isn't transactional, right? So this next one might sound kind of cruel. Don't take the bait when they make threats. So a common tactic among folks who are struggling with borderline is to threaten to leave the relationship. Okay, if they threaten to leave the relationship, let them. This might be the only way they could ever come back if they ever chose to. By letting them go, you're communicating to them that you do not need them. Why would we want to do this? When you communicate that you do not need someone, now they have to come up with an explanation for why you were spending time with them in the first place. If it wasn't because you needed me, the only other option is that you wanted me. You see how there's such a distance between I need you and I want you. I need you feels a little more secure, right? Like you depend on me for finances, and so you're not going anywhere. But remember, that means I'm earning love, which means I can write it off as not genuine, which means we're headed back to I hate you territory. But if instead I simply want you in my life, they are at the mercy of your kindness, which so are we all, right? But it's especially important here to communicate that the only reason that they are in your life is because you choose for them to be freely. If they threaten to leave and you panic, now they know you need them, right? Maybe they interpret this as a dependence on whatever kind of attention you were giving them, or money you were giving them, or resources of any sort, right? They'll attach the love to that. And they'll explain away your love. See, now you just want them to do the thing that they do. That's the only reason you're keeping them around. Refuse to make them needed in your life. Now they have to depend on you wanting them at the mercy of your kindness. This is terrifying for a borderline personality, and I don't want to underplay that. It is terrifying. It is also deeply true. And really, if you think about it, it makes sense. I don't love someone because they've earned my love. I love someone because I choose to love. And I would suggest that that's even true of all of us. We are all choosing to love, and that's why we love. Not necessarily giving love as some sort of payment for something that's been done. That's just not how we work. And so when we interact with our borderline friends and family that way, we're showing them that the love they're receiving from us is attached to their being, not their doing. And it's not because of anything about them, it's because of something about us, right? So it's not something that you can lose now. It's not something that can be taken away because you screwed up. It can still be taken away, don't get me wrong, but you didn't fail to gain it, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe someone's having a bad day or whatever, but it's not being earned. Finally, don't take the bait when they make themselves better. This is another common tactic. If I want you to like me, I will just become a clone of you. I will like all the things you like. I will think all the things you think. I will look like you look. I'll make all the same choices. And when I do this, I'm hoping that it's going to make you like me more, perhaps even to the degree of, well, I changed myself for you, and you didn't even notice. You didn't even appreciate it, okay? When you don't respond to these major changes, right? Maybe you're into a specific genre of music, and suddenly that's their favorite genre of music too. Oh, wow. But if you don't go, oh, wow, and instead you just, oh, that's cool, and you move on, see, their strategy didn't work. They were not able to manipulate you into loving them. Again, they're at the mercy of your choice to love them. This shows that you like them as opposed to some characteristic they can change about themselves. So ultimately, our task when we're trying to love our borderline loved ones is to love them for who they are and not what they do. And more importantly, in this case, maybe, to clearly show that. This is not a small task, and it's not even always a possible task. Even now, some viewers, I'm sure, are taking what they just heard as an indictment, right? Like a judgment that's being passed down. However, that's not something that we can take responsibility for. Our job is not to control or manipulate others, but to simply do what we can, what is within our sphere of responsibility, to try and combat that working to earn love trap and clearly show that we are loving because of being, not because of doing. As we say in the Clucci household, just because someone else makes sad choices doesn't mean you have to join them. So if you do all of these things and your borderline loved one just doesn't believe you, doesn't respond well, maybe they threaten to leave and then they do leave, that's not something for you to carry. You keep on making the choices that you want to make, and they make the choices they want to make. And here's my best wishes for that to not be what happens. And instead, for you and your borderline loved one to have a thriving, strong relationship that is full of unconditional love, that is about being and not about doing. I'm Adam Clucci, and we are raising consciousness.